Alright, you guys, Wes Watson. Let's react to him. I saw this guy all over my Instagram page. I did not really know who he was. The only thing I ever saw of this guy was a video where a couple of months ago where he beat up another guy with like 4 of his friends, acted like he's tough in a gym with like 4 other friends beating a guy, which was an absolute weasel move. I do not know much about him other than he's some kind of influencer, and he's popping off all over the MMA pages on my Instagram feed because he's talking smack about MMA fighters. And I, as a martial artist myself and MMA content creator, will react to him and give my opinions in this video. Hello and welcome to Bloodsport MMA.
Assalamu alaikum Malara.
Alright, you guys, let's get right into it. I already picked out a video that I saw. I haven't watched this video yet, but it seems like to be, from the views, it seems like to be the right video. Wes Watson goes off on UFC fighters and instantly regrets it. I've seen a couple of little clips and stuff like that on those Instagram pages. I saw the whole Kevin Holland beef. We'll get to that in a second. Let's just get right into it and react. By the way, why does it say trans Wes Watson here? Who, like, what am I missing? That's a guy, right? Honest question. That's a guy, right? That's a girl, right? She has fake tatas, so is she trans? Like, honest question here. Like, why does it say trans Wes Watson? Is that a trans? I can't imagine that he's a trans. What's going on here?
If a pro fighter did his jujitsu on him, then the guy's gonna come back and duct tape his family. Who?
Who are you talking about?
Fighters are the epitome of squares. They're like, come in the ring and I'll fight you.
Yeah, coming to the ring to fight someone is the smart idea because fighting in the street is not smart. The best thing you can do if you have a problem with someone is, hey, since you're so tough and you want to fight me, let's go into a cage, into a ring. I'll have my coach there and as a referee kind of, and we just fight. We just fight like real men, and if you give up, I stop. If you're knocked out, I stop. Otherwise, we don't stop. And then the beef is over because we fought. And if I knock you out and you hit your head on a mat, you don't die, because if you hit your head on the concrete in the streets, I'll go to prison forever. That's why I always think it's stupid to fight in the streets, because, bro, you might go to prison until the end of your life. In America, I think it's a little bit easier with like self-defense stuff, but in Europe, bro, you just go to prison. You go in for murder. So yeah, it's smart to fight in the gym. That's where you should end the beefs.
UFC fighting is gay. Like all that shit.
Huh? How is, first of all, UFC fighting does not exist. It's MMA fighting. That's like if we talk about football and I say playing Champions League playing is kind of this and that. Like, bro, Champions League is just an organization. It's just a kind of an organization. It's totally different, of course, football and MMA. But like UFC is not a sport, bro. Like that just shows already that you know nothing about what you talk about. And it's like the least gay thing that, of course, you are in your underwear, topless, fighting another man. Yeah, I can see what you mean, but that makes no sense.
Like MMA fighting and all that shit.
And I'm sure your girl over there would love an MMA fighter.
For people who never really were in fights.
What?
All that shit, like MMA fighting and all that shit, is for people who never really were in fights.
All right.
Yeah, that's why most of all the pro MMA fighters, most of UFC fighters have a childhood where they had street fights left and right. That's how most MMA fighters get into the sport. Of course, there's the Chase Hoopers, there's the Sean O'Malley's and all those guys who did not grow up street fighting, which is a smart thing to do, right? It's never cool or smart to be a street fighter. As I just mentioned, it's stupid. But bro, you will find a lot of guys in the UFC that are exactly that grew up fighting in the streets all the time, always got in trouble, and found the sport as a thing to let out their aggression in a controlled environment. Michael Bisping, Jorge Masvidal, all those guys. You could go on a list forever on how many UFC fighters were active street fighters in the past. Active.
Right, so during a live stream recently, Wes Watson went on one of his most
delusional
and idiotic rants ever, which is saying a lot because every day he goes on some deranged rant where he just sounds completely unhinged.
I really don't know much about him,
this one
to be
is
honest.
Something else. he decided to call out the best fighters in the world for being cowards because they aren't violent enough for him.
Again, trans. Why? What am I missing? Is he trans? ChatGPT. Is Wes Watson trans? I asked it. As of my last update, Wes Watson is not publicly known to be transgender. Wes Watson is recognized for his work as a motivational speaker. This guy is a motivational speaker, former inmate, and fitness influencer. If there have been any updates about his personal life or gender identity, it would be best to check the latest reliable sources of or his official social media profiles. Okay, I don't know what a trans should be then. Probably a troll because the profile pictures, I don't know.
Like Wes keeps calling MMA fighters.
Ah, now I get it. That's a troll account making fun. And I didn't read the title. Wes Watson. I thought it's his own channel. Aha, I get it now.
Squares, and it sounds like he only respects people that are violent, who are willing to kill people. I think that's what he's trying to say here.
He would love Sean Strickland
He's
then.
trying to think of any way he can to criticize UFC fighters. And I guess he thinks the best way to do that is to talk about how unhinged his friends are because they're willing to kill people and go to jail for it.
Hey, your friends are willing to kill people? How cool. How tough. Ooh.
And he also says that MMA fighters and boxers aren't real.
The real tough guys are the guys who are willing to go toe to toe with you, man versus man, 1v1. Those are tough guys. People that show up with 4 of their friends are the exact opposite of a tough guy. People that show up to a fist fight with a gun are the exact opposite of a tough guy. Those are what I would call weasels or PUSSYS. Because at the end of the day, that's a PUSSY move. You can't handle yourself in a street fight or in a fight. Step away. Don't engage in a fight. Walk away. It's totally fine. But don't come to a fist fight with a gun. That's PUSSY. I can't say the word on YouTube, I think, but PUSSY move.
Fighters because they train to fight. I don't know how that makes any sense.
What?
Boxers aren't real fighters because they train to fight.
They're not real fighters. Okay.
I don't know
But you, as an influencer making live streams with a good-looking girl next to you, makes you a real fighter, huh?
That makes any sense. And he also criticizes them.
Nice apartment though, by the way. Apartment looks really nice, I gotta say.
For only fighting in the ring, even though a lot of them get in street fights as well. And I'm sure they'd be open to a street fight with Wes if he wants.
Oh, bro, just please go to Sean Strickland and ask him. I want him to go to the doorstep of Sean Strickland and ask him to fight him. Sean Strickland would laugh. He always said his dream is to go into the desert with another guy and just fight to the death. He would love that, bro.
But we all know Wes is the real coward here. He had his chance to prove how tough
Strickland would also fight him in a gunfight if he wants to do a gunfight. Strickland's down for that as well.
he is. Like, he's begging his haters to come meet him at the gym.
That video is still the one I saw.
And somebody finally took the opportunity, and Wes, he needed 3 of his boys to jump in and help him. But I guess Wes thinks that makes him more of a tough guy for some reason. The fact that he's scared to fight a fair fight. So, of course, he acts like it's cool to go to jail for attacking people.
Going to jail is never cool, bro. I never understand why people think you are tough when you go to jail, bro. Going to jail is basically, and of course, it depends on the crime you do. If you're a Cain Velasquez, I respect that completely. But if you go to jail in general, it's actually, like, if you think about it, it's kind of GAY as well. Because at the end of the day, you let a random guy in a suit control your life and send you somewhere where you have no personal space, where you cannot decide what you do all day. You're in a cell. Someone else, some random other guy who works in the prison, decides what you do, what you eat, when do you do what, how long you are where. Like, someone else, some other random guys control your life completely, and you're locked up, not having any rights, not having any possibilities to do what you want. Like, that is the most beta male thing that can happen to you if you think about it in that regard. The most beta male thing is have other guys telling you what to do all day and not having any freedom to do what you want. That's beta as fuck, in my opinion, right? And of course, as I said, it depends on the crime that you do, that if I have respect for that or not. There are certain crimes that you can have respect for, but being a tough guy and stabbing someone after he beats you up or shooting someone because he beats you up is the most weasel thing you can do. Like not accepting your defeat just because you can't fight and you can't handle that because your little 5-inch ego is hurt. I don't even know how much 5 inches are. I'm European, but it doesn't sound like a lot. I hope. I don't know. How much is 5 inches, by the way? I have no idea. I just said that. I wanted to say centimeters because that's not a lot, but then I said inches and I don't know how much. Anyways, back to the topic.
You know, apparently he respects that more than people stepping in the octagon.
Hey, Sean Strickland.
So once again, Wes is proving he's an unhinged idiot that has no self-control.
He reminds me of someone. The face, he looks like a white Rick Ross with that beard.
And the fact he's trying to make this behavior sound cool while he's on trial for assault is wild.
Don't encourage anyone to run up to these pro fighters. Pro fighters are pussies, okay? They're only good in the ring.
Why don't you engage in a street fight then with a pro fighter? We'll get to that in a second, but you got called out for a fight with a pro fighter on the street as well. Why did you not engage in that then? There's no ring there. There's no cage there, right? So,
people I know will not accept a loss, okay?
So people you know are weasels.
Okay? If a pro fighter did his jujitsu on him, then the guy's gonna come back and
it's gonna come on his back.
Duct tape his family.
Okay, so your friends, if they get beat up, so they are the weaker man, they lose the fight, they get beat up, they come back and duct tape the other guy's family. That is the most beta male move you can do. You get beat up, you can't accept your defeat, that you are the weaker guy, and you come back and duct tape someone innocent that has nothing to do with it, just because some other guy humiliated you. That's the most PUSSY thing you could ever do. Ever. Honestly.
Okay?
If you're a real man, you come back and say, we'll fight again now. I'll beat you this time and fight fair again until you win. That's what I will be like. Respect. Otherwise, anything else, you're a PUSSY, bro.
Don't want to fuck with the wrong people.
That's true. There are certain people you do not want to F with. That's true. But those people are not influencers on social media that have a chick in their video as well to, I don't know, validate them.
And the wrong people out here in the world are not pro fighters.
They're also not influencers, bro.
You guys need to wake up. These are very...
I'm widely awake. Just had a coffee, by the way. Very awake, brother. Just because you take the white powder doesn't make you more awake, my friend.
Big time squares.
Big time squares. Is that an Albanian joke or what was that supposed to mean?
Pro fighters are the epitome of squares. They're like, come in the ring and I'll fight you.
You can also come in the cage if you want. You can choose.
People I grew up with and went to prison with, they don't give a fuck about a ring. They don't give a fuck if they're on camera.
And that's why they're in prison, locked up. I don't know how you not get how that's not a positive thing, my friend.
They don't give a fuck if they have to fucking live the rest of their life in prison. You will not beat them. They will not.
No, you will beat them. It's just what happens afterwards, okay? But you, like, in the real fight, you beat them.
Take a loss.
What is he talking about?
You guys live in a fantasy world.
No, you live in a fantasy world, bro. You live in a complete fantasy world where you watch. I don't know how his criminal past is, but to me, he sounds like a guy who watched some mafia movies and thought that's real life.
Where pro fighters aren't the biggest squares on the planet.
What is a square?
UFC fighting is gay.
What is that picture on here, by the way, the whole time? Get that stuff away.
Like all that shit, like MMA.
I'm sure your girlfriend thinks differently of that, my friend.
Fighting and all that shit is for people who never really were in fights. Like,
well, jiu-jitsu is kind of sus, to be honest.
Never whooped ass their whole life. So they're always...
What? That makes no sense.
It's like, I'm going to train and fight. Like,
yeah. That's like if you say, being a professional football player, playing for I don't know, playing in the Champions League is not for real football players, bro. That's just for people who want to train and play football. Huh? What the fuck are you talking about? Like, even she looks at him like, that was weird.
I've always just handled shit very easily. I never had to think about fighting because I always just extinguished the problem.
Okay, tough guy. Of course, you always just extinguish the problem. With the fire extinguisher or what?
However I had to. So the point is like, that's for people who like never could really fight. They had to go learn to fight. I mean, people who...
Okay, wait. Oh, what did I press now? Okay, so your argument is training fighting is for people who never knew how to fight, so they had to train to learn it. Okay, for some people that might be true, that they are not talented in general, they're not gifted fighters. They had to train to gain those capabilities. Of course, that's true. For some people are also just gifted, but of course you always have to train to be an elite fighter. But how does that make them not real fighters? Because especially since you talk like that, you are implying with that you are a real fighter, a born fighter. You do not need training to fight. So why don't you fight then? Why do you extinguish the problem differently? Why don't you fight then, since you're such a fighter and you don't need to train fighting, right? Why don't you just fight then? I don't get it.
Just handle business. They don't have to learn to fight. There's a difference between fighters and violent people.
There can be a difference. There's fighters that are not violent people, but there's also fighters that are violent people. Normally, yeah, that's true, because once you were in a fighting gym and you fought and you did martial arts, real martial arts, not some Mac Dojo stuff, real martial arts, you learn how dangerous a human being can be, how dangerous fighting can be, and that's what makes you so much calmer and less violent in general. Because martial arts humble you. They make you calmer. You know the consequences of violence. You know what you're able to do to a person and what another person, hypothetically, if they're good enough, is able to do to you. And you know that's not a beautiful thing. You know that hurts someone and is dangerous. And you know the consequences of it, and that's why you are a much calmer person. And also because you know that if push comes to shove, you could handle yourself. That's why you're so much calmer. People, that's like the small dogs. The small dogs always bark because they hope with the barking, the other person gets scared and goes away and it doesn't even come to the confrontation, right? That's what they try to do. They try to avoid the confrontation by making them feel like they're so dangerous. The real fighters, though, the real dogs, the strong dogs, they don't bark as much. They might bark at you one or two times to just let you know, like, hey, wrong move. And then they just fuck you up. Because they know they can fuck you up. That's why they don't have to bark the whole time. Because they know if you come close enough, you're done with it. You know what I mean? They can handle themselves. That's the exact reason.
You should really stay away from violent people, because it doesn't matter how good you are.
That's true. You should stay away from violent people.
Fighting, when they want to take it to the level, they'll take you out. And so there's a huge difference here.
With weapons? How tough? Ooh.
Have it all misconstrued. Fighting is some weird sports shit that is all these people do. And
fighting is some weird sports shit. 2 minutes ago, you said fighters do not know how to fight, or people who just train fighting are not fighters. What are you talking about now?
You do with violence, because a violent person.
Fighting has nothing to do with violence. Okay, go watch some Muay Thai highlights of elbows hitting a skull. Then you see that it has nothing to do with violence.
Will end your life, and this is the thing. You guys need to quit thinking that UFC people are going to be able to fuck around with violent motherfuckers.
Of course they can. Of course you can always take out a weapon and shoot someone. Bro, the freaking American sniper that had the most confirmed kills got shot. You can always, if someone is unarmed, you can also always just shoot him. That doesn't make you tough. That doesn't make you, well, it makes you violent in some way, but it doesn't gain you any street cred or anything. That's just being a weasel. That's what it is.
Because a violent motherfucker won't lose. He won't take it. And you'll be like, wait.
No, that's a weasel who can't take a loss.
Put the gloves on.
Who doesn't have real pride, who has fake pride.
And it's going to be a problem for you.
Look, even she's laughing. She's thinking like, yeah, of course.
So what? You have an active case. Why are you talking about this?
Yeah, so Wes never disappoints. I mean, the guy's facing jail time, and he still doesn't tone down how unhinged he is.
For that video where he beat up the black guy?
This is a generational crash out from him, and he ended up deleting this stream. Maybe he had a moment of self-awareness or something.
What is going on with their face here?
But
what the hell are those freaking eyebrows?
Probably unlikely. You know, his lawyer probably just told him to take it down because this is a terrible look for him. And I thought Wes was probably trying to get a beef going with fighters, but some big fighters are.
Oh, Sean Strickland! I didn't even see that they tune in. Guys that are into fitness are closeted or too ashamed to do so. They.
And it sounds like Wes doesn't want that smoke now. Like former UFC middleweight champion Sean Strickland called Wes
Interesting,
out,
you guys.
but Wes had no response to him so far.
He would be the perfect guy to handle Wes. The perfect guy. Even if he wants a shootout, Sean Strickland is down.
But this is what Sean had to say. Somebody asked him if he's going to accept Wes Watson's challenge. And Sean said, LMA,
from Bellator.
Bro, what are you talking about? Watson from Bellator?
Bro, everyone is a fitness clown these days. You can't keep track with his name. That's true.
So he has no idea who Wes is. He thinks he's a fighter in a different league.
I didn't even... okay, my Instagram is just filled with MMA, but I didn't know who that guy was until I saw MMA pages posting about him. And I was like, yeah, I've seen that guy before once on Twitter in a video where he beat that guy up.
He thinks everybody knows who he is
with his friends.
He thinks of himself as
couldn't beat up someone himself.
And the most interesting man alive.
You understand? I am massively famous. I have
Congrats.
to guide everybody because they suck. But I don't like people. You're pussies. You're pushovers.
Well, that is... I never like when clips are cut together. You never get the context. I'm always hyper critical of those things. When I see someone saying something and it's cut together, I'm always like, I don't know what he said before that. I see it a lot in politics and stuff like that. Stuff gets taken out of context. So
man, I am the most interesting man. Like that guy in the Dos Equis commercials. That's like me. Most interesting man alive.
Yeah, so then somebody explained to Sean Strickland who Wes is. They said Wes is some roided up, muscle bound douchebag that yells on his phone all day, made his name from making prison YouTube videos, and he said on video that UFC fighters are pussies and squares that aren't that tough. And Sean said, guys that are into fitness are closet.
What kind of prison YouTube videos they do? That sounds interesting.
So they jerk off to themselves doing squats. Yeah, and that describes Wes pretty well. And then also a former UFC fighter, Dean Lister, he responded to him and said, anyone heard of this guy? Damn, it would be so easy to beat him in less than a minute, unless he had like 4 friends or something. Such an embarrassment.
With his 4 friends, it would take Dean Lister 4 minutes.
And then also Gordon Ryan, who's like one of the best jiu-jitsu practitioners in the world. He responded and said, imagine living in this delusion. The people you're talking about could make sweet love to you and you couldn't do a thing.
That's true. Justin Gage said it best. If one man can hold you down, 2 can.
About it. Also, you want to see real violent people who know and are good at high-end violence. Make friends with vets, not I see red bro cons.
I 100% support the statement, of course.
Getting humiliated by these people, as expected. They're all bragging about how they could end him in a minute or R-word him in a minute, which probably just sounds like a good time to him. And I think that's probably why he's secretly looking forward to going back to jail. But, of course, Wes, the big alpha male, tough guy, he talks all this shit about fighters and how they're cowards, but then once they call him out and say they could kick his ass, he has nothing to say about it. But I think he did kind of respond to some of the fighting commentary channels. He never says anyone's name, though, and he acts like he's above internet beef. Now all of a sudden he acts like he's just too mature for this kind of stuff. So this man is just so pathetic.
So for every clown that takes it to the internet for fame...
literally what you do, okay?
Because they think you have to have like an internet Drake and Kendrick Lamar beef.
This guy must have schizophrenia or something, right?
I don't know who they are and they try to copy me and shit. And they have no following.
Who wants to copy you, bro?
They've never done anything. And they
bought... Look like there's some kind of skin disease on your head.
Their tattoos at the store.
Bought their tattoos at the store. Well, for a tattoo, you normally pay for it, yeah, and go to some kind of tattoo store, yeah. Of course, you can also get tattoos in prison, but I'm sure not all your tattoos are from prison. And even in prison, you normally pay someone that does it. It's just that you're limited in your freedom, so you can't go to a normal tattoo, so you have to do it in prison. Like, what's cool about that?
Those people are always just trying to get internet fame through top people like me. But what most people don't see is that when we were at the gym right now, and when we were at Pura Vida right now, at least...
Pura Vida, is that the one I think that it is? Because Pura Vida Miami, when I was in Miami, I went there every day. They had like protein shakes and like real healthy food and all of that. That was a very cool place. It's like a cafe.
These 7 people came up and said, Wes, you changed my fucking life. I absolutely love you.
And that story's made up. I mean, this is just getting sad.
I don't know him, so I don't know if he has groupies. I don't know about that, so I'm not gonna comment on that.
7 people ran up to him at the gym and told him they love him.
There are a lot of guys so that will come up to people that they also, I see with fighters a lot, that come up to fighters that I know that they're not really fans of. They just saw them fight sometimes and probably even talk shit about them. And they're like, bro, I'm your biggest fan. Trust me, bro. Oh my God. I'm like, bro, shut up.
Like, that just sounds so ridiculous. But Wes, he just fantasizes all day about stuff like this. You know, he is so desperate for attention. I mean, he wants to be a famous celebrity so badly. Like, recently there's a post on the Wes Watson subreddit from someone who worked at a restaurant in Miami that Wes would go to. And they claimed he got into it with the valet because they wouldn't park his car in the very front. So he stopped using the valet, and if there's not a spot open in the front, then he'll just drive around in circles for up to an hour sometimes, waiting for a spot to open. And then he'll do like 10 takes getting in and out of his car for videos and pictures and to probably get people's attention. Like, also, apparently he just stands around his car all the time waiting for people to run up to him and waiting for interviewers. You know, he loves those street interviews.
It's kind of smart though to get attention.
Interviewers, what you do for a living?
What do you do for a living? I'm Wes Watson.
Nice little Richard Milley.
Everybody knows.
Or
who I am.
11, I think it is.
What's your name?
Wes Watson.
Wes Watson? Okay, awesome.
And I'm sure Wes is thinking, dude, you should know who I am already. I'm massively famous. Like, he just wants people to recognize him so badly. It's awesome. And Wes, he surrounds himself with sycophants. Like, it's so funny. He says everyone's copying him because it seems like a lot of the people he keeps...
But yeah, anyways, is that the rest of MMA stuff? I said all of it. Yeah. I also just want to go quickly into this one. Nearly got cancelled there for that Balal thing. Yeah. So Kevin Holland, UFC fighter, posted that he blocked him. Very manly to block someone. He probably just blocked him because that's what prison people do, right? And if you go to prison, bro, we people, we stand for violence, bro. We block people. So he said, comments, your comments are off. You're gonna rant, then turn into a kitty. This Watson guy said, comments aren't turned off. Slow MFer. You gotta follow to comment. Got something to say, cry baby. And then he said, oh, my page, whatever that means. The same way I'm in Miami Thursday, beach fight, bar fight, house fight, up to you. So he doesn't say fight in the gym. He says beach fight, bar fight, house fight. Those are street fights, right? He offers him that. And your girl hot. Also hinting at his girl. And I can guarantee you his girl would jump to Kevin Holland in a heartbeat if she could. She don't like toads. As far as I heard on the internet, toads should allegedly be some racist comment. I don't know what toads means, but allegedly that's some racist comment of him. Nobody does. Okay. She liked the money. That's true. You can see that fake lips, fake tits, she definitely likes the money. I can tell. And you're broke, kid. Kevin Holland's definitely not broke. He earns like $350K a fight. Fights like 3-4 times a year. Has a lot of sponsors. He's everything but broke. Get off the crack. Little boy. Yeah, of course, he's a little boy. That's why he fights in the UFC. So what's up, you being a sister? What? Because he didn't even respond at all. He didn't even mention anything about the fight. He completely changed subjects to get off that, right? Because he has no balls for that. Talking as because you hear something you don't agree with. I don't give a damn who you, or if you like me, maybe you should learn English, my friend. I thought you grew up in the US. Lol, ain't that how the world works? Kind of true, yeah. It's kind of true by Kevin Holland. If you hear something you don't agree with, you talk shit. Weirdo, lol, I'd call you, but I ain't got your number. I think you can call on IG as well. But anyways, I will send you a KFC gift card. How about that? That's definitely racially motivated, right? Kind of weird. Sucks being an influencer when you get called out and won't do shit. I agree with that. Stupid. Wow, what a comeback. Said nobody gives a F about your arm bar squares wanna fight. What? About your arm bar square? Bro, can someone teach this guy English, please? I'm not even a native speaker. Can your arm bar squares wanna fight? That doesn't even make sense. First of all, arm bar is written together. Second of all, what do you mean squares? I don't know what he means with a square. And I wonder if he is talking about Kevin Holland armbarring Michael Oleksiejczuk a couple of fights ago. I don't know if he saw that or something. Why would you come up with an armbar? It's kind of a random submission. Seems like you're bitching. People where I'm from don't fight, they win. Yeah, we just talked about that a minute ago, I think. They don't care about that ass. You done time. I even liked it. You done time. Ooh, if you have never done time, you're not tough, bro. You've been to prison, but not square. What is that square thing? Is that a hint towards Albanian people? Like, what do you mean with square? Fuck out of my DM, broke F. I think you're gonna MF for that. Bro, his English does make 0 sense. That sentence, ChatGPT help me. That's not English. Skinny little, well, that's isn't it even more pathetic that that skinny little bee would absolutely maul you in any type of fight? Isn't that a little bit cringe to you, maybe, my friend? But yeah, anyways, absolute weirdo, this guy. I have zero respect for those type of people. As I said, people like that are weasels, in my opinion. I don't know anything about his past. I don't know anything about who he is in general. I can just judge him from what I've seen here. And what I've seen here is a guy that's insecure, that is scared like crazy from a real fight. And because of that, wants to engage in 3 or 4v1s or in fights where you come with a gun to a fist fight, which is, as I said, a PUSSY move. But this is my opinion about this whole Wes Watson thing. I hope this guy just goes back to prison because that's where he wants to go, right? That's where tough guys go and just rotten up there or rotten there, whatever the correct grammar is there. He confused my English. But write in the comments what you think about him. Like this video, guys. Subscribe to the channel. Would appreciate that. Check out my merch as well, blotchup.net. I'm wearing one of my pieces right now. Pain is temporary, smash is forever. Get this and many, many other things in the blot shop. Links in the bio. We're free shipping with the code free. Stay bloody, you guys. And until the next one. Bye-bye. Bloodsport out.